Hi guys, today we are doing Ransom Note. So we're given two strings Ransom Note in magazine and they want us to return true if Ransom Note can be constructed by using the letters from magazine and false otherwise. And each letter in magazine can only be used once in Ransom Note. So they give us some examples down here where the first one returns false because we cannot construct A using just B. We cannot construct AA using AB, so we return false again. And down here, we can construct AA using AAB, so we return true. So the first thing we can do is we know that Ransom Note cannot be longer than magazine because then we definitely cannot construct it using the letters in here, right? So if that's the case, we can just return false immediately. So okay, and then the next thing we'll want to do, and I'll actually type this out so it's a little bit more clear. So as we go through here for the algorithm, we will want to be able to keep track of all of the characters that we have to work with in magazine as well as their counts. So we'll want to build out a hash map for that. So we can say like character A maps to 2 and the character B would map to 1 in this case for magazine, right? That way later we can loop through Ransom Note and so when we reach this first A, we can check our map and see that we have 2 A's to pick from. So then we can basically like use one of our A's, right? And so decrement this by 1. Then we go to the next A. We see that we have another A left, so we can decrement that again and use the other one. Now we have A is 0, so that we can remove that basically. And then now we're at the end of the string, so we know that we could build it, and then we return true at the end. So, like another example, like let's use one that it doesn't work, right? So, like here, then our map we would build out would just look like this. So B would map to 1, and that would be it, right? Once we built out our map. So then we can loop through Ransom Note and we check, do we have an A? No, we don't. So then we can just return false. So that's how that would work. So let's start out by building our hash map. So we want characters and integers. And then we just want to loop through magazine to build out our map. So and we'll just say char c equals magazine dot char at I. That way we don't have to keep calling char at. But then we'll just want to add this character to our map. And then if we already have it, we'll increment it by 1. If we don't already have it, then we'll just add it with a value of 1. So just like that. And so now we've built out our map, and we'll want to loop through Ransom Note, checking our map along every step of the way to see if we have each character. So let's loop through Ransom Note now. And same thing, I'll just set this equal to our current character so we don't have to keep calling char at. Okay, and then if our map does not contain whatever character we're at, so like here, right? If we're at A, we check our map, we do not have an A, then we'll just return false. So okay, and then if it does contain it, so like let's say we're up here, we check, do we have an A? Yes, we do. So then we will just use our A and decrement this by 1. So we'll just update that value. So C, and then we'll get the current value, which is 2, and minus 1. So then that would become 1. And then once we go through again, so like let's say we are at this A, and we have a value of 1 and that becomes 0 then in that case, then once we have 0, we just want to remove it, right? Because we don't need that key anymore, just to clean up our map. So if map.getC is 0, then we'll just remove that because we don't need that anymore. And then if we loop through the entire string and we're done, and we didn't have any characters that were not in the map, then that means we were able to construct it and we can just return true at the end. So let's check that. Okay, so now the time complexity is going to be O of M, where M is the length of magazine. And this is because, so if we look down here, we loop through magazine, that's O of M. And then down here we have another loop where we loop through ransom note. And we could say that's like O of N, where N is the length of ransom note. But if you remember up here, so if, here, let me also define out the variables so it's more clear. So, okay, so if ransom note's length is bigger than the length of magazine, then we immediately just return false and we don't do any of this actual work down here. So basically, to get to the actual part of the algorithm, the length of magazine always has to be greater than or equal to the length of ransom note. Right, and so if this is the case, then O of M plus N, which is what it would be if we account for both of these loops, right, just simplifies down to O of M, because M is always greater than or equal to N, right? So that's how we get this O of M. And then for space complexity, we can say it is O of K, where K is the number of unique characters in magazine. And this is because, so we have our hash map here. That's the only data structure we have in this entire algorithm, right? And so if we look at what we're actually putting into this hash map, all of the putting is in here, right? Because down here, all we're doing is just decrementing the values of keys that we already have. So all the actual adding things into the map is just in here, right? And so here, all the only things we are adding are all of the characters that are in magazine. And the amount of storage that we actually use for all of our keys is only going to be the number of unique characters that are in magazine. Because here we have like A, B, and we are only storing A and B once, right? Just like with different values, depending on how many A's or B's we have. But it's still just, we're still only for the keys, we're still only storing the number of unique characters that are in magazine. So that's why we get O of K there. So that's it for this problem. Thank you guys for watching and let me know what problem I should do next. Thanks, bye.